6 Minutes Season 5. The Season of Unknowingness. The final chapter of the 6 Minute sequel.
There are kids in this world who are different. Special.
One of them found us.
And became family.
But her time ran out. And now, that girl is missing.
In this episode, I'll be breaking down the latest episode, 6 Minutes Season 5, Piece by Piece. Hey, Review Pop listeners, it's Landon Mueller. We're here today talking about episode 27 of 6 Minute Season 5, and I thought in a lot of ways this episode was super solid. I love everything just between, Holiday and Dr. Whittier. I thought that was all fun. And then there's a lot of great stuff between just Birdie and Badger and Bryneligh, and we kind of see them forming a little bit of an alliance, a team up, right? Deciding they're going to work together, they're going to figure out kind of what's going on. Because there's been a lot of tension, right? Just with everything and everyone having, these memories. I also love just Holiday recording that note for Cyrus, which we won't dive into right now, but it's really fun and just a great callback. And this episode is packed with callbacks, and I just think that's so great that we really get to reflect on the earlier seasons in a really fun way. But yeah, let's dive into it.
What do I get in return? Will you help deliver Pen to me?
On a silver platter.
I'm not sure I totally believe you, but I'm willing to take the chance. For old time's sake.
Old time?
You've got yourself a deal.
I love all of the hints that Angelica or Angel is dropping, and it seems kind of what Dave was talking about on Rewind. Angelica is really trying to lead Whittier Corp in a new sort of way, right? She doesn't want to become Angelica, right? She wants to be kind of this different version. And that's interesting because at the end of the last season, I had thought Angel had made that choice to be bad, to be Angelica. But it really seems to me like Cyrus has changed who she is for the better, and maybe she's trying to do better. But I love this team up, and I love the idea that Cyrus is going to have a lab, right? It kind of speaks to last season as well when Cyrus had the lab. But I'm really curious what he'll try to uncover, right? Maybe potentially this lab will lead him to creating another portal, and maybe portals is what will solve this crisis, right? Everything kind of started with a portal, so maybe everything will get fixed, through portals. But I think there's certainly a lot of involvement with portals.
Because my last vision, you were in it. And I think you were my brother.
I'm your brother?
Yes, maybe. But maybe not really. I wanted you to be my brother, but you weren't really my brother.
I feel like this is such a great revelation, right? We kind of see that bond forming between Badger and Bryneligh. The fact that they're so close that they're siblings and yet they're not, right? And you can kind of feel that relief in Badger's voice, the fact that he's kind of been missing something. But at the same time, that shock of I didn't expect, this is a whole new thing. And so I really love just, that bond reforming between them. Because obviously in season 2, there was a lot of conflict there after Badger learned the truth that he was, taken in and that Holiday was trying to help them all this time. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see if that story kind of comes back up and if there'll be kind of some of that rebonding between Bryneligh and Badger. But overall, this clip is so great, and I also love just, to think what's going through Birdie's mind, right? She's learning a lot about these two people that she's just recently met, but overall, really, really solid scene.
Let's take it easy, not get too close.
Okay, but kinda hard to slow dance without some contact.
Like I said, take it easy.
Right.
Child catchers.
What do we do?
You put your head on my shoulder, I'll put mine on yours.
I love that long sigh at the end, right? You know, they're kind of both breathing that sigh of relief that they've been missing something. And I love just this romantic, interest here. And it really picks up from last season when we saw the start of the ship. I think it's so great. I love them just getting closer to each other. But it's really interesting with the child catchers, how that will interfere with their relationship, maybe friendship. We're not exactly sure what it is right now. I think they both know that something is there between them, and I just think it'd be so interesting to see a date between them somewhere along the line, right? Because that was what Penn had said at the end of season 4. Just such a classic, I think, memorable moment. But I think it's interesting just the presence of the child catchers, and they both are kind of disliking Whittier Corp, and they both want to protect their friends, right? That really shows who they are and their intentions.
But seems like you're gonna do that all on your own.
Come in 65656 MS. You read?
Monarch, yes, I'm here.
Meet me in front of the school. I need you.
Right away, sir.
Right, so there's a couple of different things to this clip, but I really want to start off with the idea of Magnus being a really comical villain. I think we've seen that a lot just throughout the whole show, especially in season 2, but I think it's starting to come back this season just with, Magnus being himself. I think it's awesome. And I can hear the fear in Brynelig's voice, right? Being put in this ice. And I think it's so interesting every time we hear Magnus using his powers. I feel like he seems stronger and just more connected with his power. And I think it'll be... I'm really curious to see if we see more of Magnus using his power and just maybe some of those training sessions that we heard about earlier. I'd love to see what kind of Magnus's training is and what that looks like. But I just love this open-ended door of Bryneligh being attacked by Magnus, and they have a long history together, and yet they don't really remember that. But I love just whenever there's conflict between these two characters. It's really funny.
That's right.
Is that?
Keep walking, please. Ivan, get the door 436A if you wouldn't mind.
Lovey.
What was that?
Nothing.
Here you go, Miss Holiday.
Thank you.
Now, this is where you'll be staying.
There are so many different things that are really great about this clip, but I want to start with just Hovey and, Holiday having been separated from Hovey for such a long time. I think it's interesting that Hovey's here, that, Hovey's being rebuilt, and we kind of saw this introduced in the start of the last season. The fact that he's already been working on this hoverboard. But I think it'd be interesting to see if maybe Holiday's escape is getting out of there on Hovey, right? If she can access Hovey, I think it's just a soft introduction to Hovey this season. And I'd love to see them, pair up and perhaps, that bond goes through space and time, right? Hovey will always help Holiday, no matter what. But I really love that footprint between these two characters, and then I also love this bunker and where Holiday's staying.
Back in the day, talking always helped me figure things out.
Starting recording.
Hey, Dr. Hey, Sai. Sorry. Old habit. You won't believe where I am right now. Or maybe you would believe it. I could really use you, big brother.
Man, this is so great, and I'm just so blown away with Valeria's acting. It is so similar to Shahadi. And obviously I'd said this at the start of season 4, just with how similar they sound, but I feel like as time goes on, I can really, just hear her sounding even more similar. But I just love this idea that, she used to record messages to Dr. Farber, and maybe she still does, because at the start of season 4, she had recorded a message for Dr. Farber, and I really love that interpretation of, like, who Dr. Farber is, because she was never introduced in the show. But the fact that, she still tries to reach out to Dr. Farber, I think that's great.
You're okay. Oh, you're okay.
Cyrus.
Bryneligh, your skin is so cold.
And you're so warm.
They're kissing.
I think certainly Cyrus is very calm here, and so is Bryneligh, and they know they've been missing from each other's lives, and I just think it's great every time we see them, kiss or have a romantic moment. It just further strengthens their relationship so much. I mean, here it's a really great example, and I think it's so funny with Cybot making that comment in the middle of the kiss, but I think it's perfect, and I love the music. It's incredible.
By Dr. Whittier?
No. Coming.
It's true. Oh no. Do you know who I am? This is not happening. Why do you look like me?
Gosh, so I've been waiting for this moment for such a long time, and it did not disappoint. I love just the shock in Adelaide's voice, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. There's so much possibility. Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review. Until next time, this is Landon saying peace, love, and time travel.